In many Russian cities, daily life unfolds in apartment blocks that haven't seen renovation in decades, with crumbling plaster and the stench of mildew lingering in the stairwells. In so-called Khrushchevkas, Soviet-era buildings, several generations often live together in a single stuffy room, with a couch instead of a bed. Bathrooms are cramped, damp, and moldy, with leaking faucets. No one can afford a plumber anyway. Winter is the worst. Central heating exists only on paper, and the radiators stay icy cold for weeks. Moisture creeps into the flats, children fall ill, and parents seal the windows to block out the draft. Buckwheat for breakfast, pasta with canned meat for lunch, and potatoes with margarine for dinner. Cheap, greasy, and just enough to fill the belly. Meat appears only on special occasions, usually in soup where there's more water than ingredients, the rest made up of discounted scraps. Fridges are empty, so homemakers rely on old recipes using 3 ingredients and a heavy dose of salt. Sometimes children bring food from school, not because they enjoy it, but because it's the only hot meal of the day. In many households, only one person has a job, often earning the equivalent of $200, which barely covers the bills and bread. The rest of the family gets by however they can, sewing with an old machine, cleaning homes, watching other people's children, or selling goods at the market. The grandmother's pension is the cornerstone of survival. Without it, there's no money for medicine, firewood, or notebooks for the grandchildren. It's the grandmothers who cook, wash, feed, and raise the children, while the parents struggle to stay afloat. Though exhausted and ailing, they carry the full weight of everyday life, pretending everything is fine, so the younger ones won't be frightened. Alcohol is a constant presence, not just on weekends, but even midweek, to numb the pain of poverty and hopelessness. Vodka acts as medicine, entertainment, and escape, often leading to violence and family tragedies. Evenings pass in front of the television, one old, boxy set that hums and shows only what the government allows. For many, it's the only window to the world, since internet is a luxury and a phone with access to the web is rare. News is mixed with soap operas and propaganda claiming Russia is growing stronger, even when the plate is empty. When something breaks, no one calls a professional. Everything is fixed with tape, wire, and whatever is lying around. Heating systems are built from old pipes, sewage systems from buckets, and faucets from plastic bottles, often working better than the original. But it's all makeshift and temporary, falling apart after a month, and the cycle starts again, a life patched together by hand. In the countryside, having a bathroom is a luxury. More often, there's just a basin of water in an outhouse that turns into an ice chamber in winter. A weekly bath is the norm because there's no water heater or running water, and washing the children is a logistical operation. Hand-washing clothes in a wash tub, rinsing hair over a pot, everything takes hours and leaves cracked skin on the hands. Children go to schools with peeling walls and no chalk, but the real problem is the lack of everything at home. Parents often can't afford textbooks, backpacks, or clothes, so kids wear shoes handed down from older siblings. After school, extracurriculars are out of the question. Instead, children carry firewood, fetch water from wells, and help with household chores, like it's another century. Winter in rural Russia is not just frost at the window, it's chopping wood by hand, carrying water, and lighting the coal stove. Every morning, someone wakes up before everyone else to start the fire and boil water. Otherwise, there will be no breakfast and no warmth. Laundry is done by hand in cold water, often outside, and frozen fingers are just part of the price for clean clothes. Women spend hours cooking over wood-fired stoves because gas is a luxury, and every meal begins with building a fire. Shopping is done on credit. Everything gets written down in a notebook kept by the shopkeeper. Bread, milk, sugar, and the payment comes when the paycheck arrives. In some villages, this kind of credit is the only way for children to have something to eat, even if the debt grows for months. The shopkeeper knows every customer and who pays back or not, but often turns a blind eye because he lives the same way, day by day. People shut themselves off in their own worlds. They don't talk to neighbors, don't trust officials, and expect help from no one. Individualism and distrust run so deep that sometimes no one knows what's happening behind the wall, even though it's only a thin panel away. Many families function like islands, separately, in silence, with curtains drawn, and avoiding eye contact in the stairwell. Violence is present but rarely visible. Women don't report it, and neighbors pretend they hear nothing. A scream behind the wall doesn't prompt a reaction. It's a private matter, a taboo that's never been resolved. The law protects perpetrators more than victims, and officers often refuse to intervene, claiming it's just a family quarrel. Despite this gray routine, Russians know how to celebrate in grand fashion. New Year's is a holiday where people borrow money and pawn their homes. The table bends under the weight of food, even if it's all bought on credit, and alcohol flows by the liter, because no matter how bad things are, today is a celebration. For a few days, poverty is forgotten. There are fireworks, gifts, a background of soap operas, and the sound of anthems on TV at midnight. In many families, the father works hundreds of kilometers away, in Moscow, St. Petersburg, or abroad, sending money once a month. The mother stays with the children in the provinces alone, exhausted, with a phone as her only connection to a husband she sees once a quarter. These separated families are the norm. There may be money, but there's no father at the table, no support in the daily struggle. Grandparents, children, and grandchildren live together in one apartment, 3 generations under one roof, in a single room, often with just one bathroom for all. Privacy is scarce, but support is there. Someone watches the kids, cooks a meal, gives advice, even if tensions rise and sparks fly. Such closeness is a necessity, not a choice. No one can afford a separate place, even if they dream of a little peace and quiet. Young people are increasingly losing hope. They say there's no point in dreaming because nothing will change anyway and no one will help them. Emigration becomes the only plan. To leave and never come back, as far away as possible from the cold, the poverty, and the endless struggle to make ends meet. Those who stay sink into apathy. Jobless, hopeless, a bottle in hand, their eyes fixed on the floor. Every day looks the same as the last, and the future seems foggy, with no light at the end of the tunnel, only a weight felt in every conversation.